Disclaimer: this story contains mature themes intended for adult viewers. Viewer discretion is advised. The first time I saw him cry, I knew something inside him had broken, but I didn't know it would break us too. We were supposed to be the perfect couple, the kind you see laughing together in coffee shops or walking hand in hand under golden sunsets. Ethan was my world. Steady. Warm. The man who could calm any storm with just a look. For 8 years, we built a life that looked flawless from the outside. But cracks don't always scream, sometimes they whisper. And I ignored every whisper, until it was too loud to bear. I'm Mia. I used to believe in comfort more than passion. Security more than mystery. That was what Ethan gave me, a safe love. A reliable home. And for the longest time, I thought that was enough. Until I started seeing signs. A shift in his eyes when he thought I wasn't looking. A tension in his shoulders when I touched him. He was there, physically, but somewhere else entirely inside. And one night, I discovered where that somewhere really was. We used to talk every night. But lately, it's been just silence and screams. I remember the way his hand used to find mine under the sheets, how his voice once trembled when he told me he couldn't imagine a life without me. Now, he barely looks up when I walk into the room. I'd blame myself, I did for a while. Until I found that message. Short. Cryptic. I missed the way you made me feel. It wasn't for me. I wanted to scream. Instead, I stayed quiet. I watched. I learned. And what I found out wasn't what I expected at all. Ethan wasn't just drifting. He was changing. Evolving. Becoming someone I didn't recognize, someone more. More alive. More intense. And somehow, it made me want him all over again, while breaking my heart at the same time. Who was this passionate man living a second life right under my nose? Was he running away from me, or toward something he thought I could never be? And worse, was I already too late? That night, I followed him. And what I saw in that dimly lit place, the look on his face, the fire in his eyes, it wasn't just betrayal. It was revelation. I didn't sleep that night. Not really. I laid next to Ethan, close enough to feel the heat of his body, yet it felt like we were miles apart. He stirred once in his sleep and, out of habit, his arms slipped over my waist. For a second, I closed my eyes and let myself believe everything was fine, that this was still our rhythm, our shared space. But I knew better. His touch didn't linger. He let go before morning came. Ethan was different now. Not cold. Just distant, in a way that didn't feel angry or cruel, just unreachable. And that made it worse. Like he was slipping through my fingers, and I didn't know how to hold on without falling apart. Breakfast was quiet. The clink of cutlery, the soft hum of the coffee maker. We barely spoke. But then, just as he was leaving for work, he paused. "You look tired," he said, his voice low, almost thoughtful. "Did you sleep okay?" I wanted to ask him the same. I wanted to ask where he was last Thursday when he came home smelling faintly of perfume that wasn't mine. I wanted to ask who he had become, this man with secrets tucked behind careful smiles. But I didn't. I just nodded. I'm fine. Lies can feel like love when they're wrapped in silence. And yet, something inside me still ached for him. I wasn't just heartbroken, I was still drawn to him. Still wanted him. But I didn't know how to reach him anymore. We used to make love like it meant something sacred. Now we barely touched, and when we did, it felt like obligation more than desire. But sometimes, in fleeting glances or accidental brushes of skin, I saw it, the man who used to pull me close at 2 a.m., just to hear me breathe. He was still in there. Hidden beneath whatever he was hiding. I started watching him differently. Listening for the subtext behind his words. Wondering if he still dreamt of me, or someone else. And then, one day, I found something. Tucked deep in the back of his closet, a photograph. Folded. Worn. A woman I didn't recognize, but he looked at her like he used to look at me. I couldn't stop thinking about the photograph. The woman in it was beautiful, but not in the way I expected. She wasn't flashy or striking, she had a quiet softness, the kind of beauty that lingers in memory. The way Ethan was looking at her, it wasn't casual. It wasn't distant. It was the look he used to save only for me. I turned the photo over. No date. No name. Just a faint fingerprint smudge, his. He had touched this photo enough to leave a permanent mark, one I couldn't ignore. That night, I watched him again. The way he loosened his tie. The way he paused too long when his phone vibrated. He used to share everything with me, even the small things. Now his phone was always face down, always just out of my reach. Who is she, Ethan? I wanted to ask. But fear kept my mouth shut. Not fear of losing him, fear of hearing an answer I wasn't ready for. Instead, I tested the edges of us. I wore the dress he once couldn't keep his hands off. I brushed against him as I passed. I let my fingertips graze his back when I set his coffee down. Little moments that once would have drawn him to me instantly. But now, he only offered tight smiles, distracted nods. His body was present, but his heart, somewhere else. His scent had changed, too. The cologne he wore wasn't one I bought him. I noticed it in the quiet, when he walked in late, when I leaned in close enough to feel the coldness clinging to his shirt. Still, I wanted him. That made it worse. Desire mixed with doubt is a dangerous thing. I found another clue 2 days later. A handwritten note tucked into his briefcase. The handwriting wasn't his. 3 words, written in looping, delicate script, "Miss you already." No name. No explanation. Just enough to set my heart racing and my breath catching in my throat. But then, a twist I didn't expect, a voicemail on our shared home line. I almost missed it. A woman's voice. Soft, almost trembling. "Ethan, please don't back out. I need you there. Just one more time." The message cut off before I could hear more. She didn't say his name again, but I didn't need her to. I knew it was him. Was he slipping into someone else's arms? Or into a part of himself I had never known? The weight of the unanswered questions pressed on me, but something else simmered beneath the hurt, an undeniable pull, a twisted curiosity. I still loved him. I still wanted to know him, all of him, even the parts that scared me. And as I pressed play on the message again, I realized, maybe his betrayal wasn't simple. Maybe it wasn't just about another woman. Maybe it was about something deeper, something hidden inside him all along. The moment I heard the message again, something cracked open inside me. Not just suspicion, something rawer. Older. A sense that the love I thought was solid had become hollow, echoing with things left unsaid. That night, I waited for him. The house was quiet except for the soft ticking of the wall clock, every second pushing me closer to a truth I wasn't sure I could handle. I sat in the dim living room, dressed in the same sweater he once said made me look unreasonably beautiful. I don't know why I put it on, maybe to feel seen, maybe to remind him. The door opened just after 9. Ethan paused when he saw me, not startled, not guilty. Just unsure. That look alone shattered something. His uncertainty. His distance. The way he lingered in the doorway like a guest in his own home. "I didn't know you'd still be up," he said, setting down his keys. I needed to be. My voice was steady, but my heart wasn't. He looked tired, but not in the usual way. Tired in the way people are when they've been carrying a truth too heavy for too long. I stood up slowly, walked over to him. "There's something you're not telling me, Ethan." He didn't answer right away. Instead, he looked at me the way someone might look at a life they used to live. A life they miss but can't return to. And then, he did something unexpected. He reached out and touched my cheek. Gently. tenderly. Like it hurt him more than it hurt me. "Mia," he whispered, his thumb brushing just below my eye. "I never stopped loving you." I should have felt relief. I should have collapsed into him and let his arms convince me everything was okay. But I didn't. Because I could feel it in his touch, the guilt, the conflict, the longing, and the distance. He loved me, yes. But something, or someone, had changed him. I pressed my forehead against his chest, breathing him in like I used to. And for one aching moment, we stood there, two people who still felt everything, and yet, nothing at all was the same. Ethan's hand lingered on my cheek, and for a heartbeat, it felt like time bent around us. There was so much unsaid in that moment. The weight of it nearly crushed me. Then his phone buzzed in his pocket. Once. Then again. He stiffened, barely, but I felt it. That subtle change in his body. I looked up. His eyes were still on me, but something else was behind them now. Something unreadable. I stepped back. "You should get that," I said quietly. He hesitated. Then, as if pulled by something stronger than himself, he took out the phone and looked at the screen. His thumb hovered, then he hit silence. He didn't answer. "You're not going to tell me who she is, are you?" My voice shook, but I didn't look away. Ethan exhaled through his nose. "It's not what you think." "You keep saying that," I whispered. "But I'm starting to think you don't even know what it is anymore." His silence spoke louder than any confession. And then, as if fate itself was tired of waiting, a knock at the door. We both froze. Ethan turned toward the sound, his jaw tightening. My heart pounded. It was late. Too late for visitors. And yet, neither of us moved. The knock came again, softer, but more urgent. "I'll get it," I said before he could react. I opened the door, and there she was. She wasn't who I expected. She wasn't younger. She wasn't stunning. She wasn't the stereotypical other woman. She was familiar. "Clara?" I gasped. My best friend. My closest confidant. The person who'd comforted me through every tear, every doubt, every long night. Her eyes were red-rimmed, her voice trembling. "Mia. I didn't know you'd be home." Ethan was behind me now. I didn't have to turn around to feel his presence tighten like a noose. What is this?" My voice cracked. I looked from her to him. "Tell me this isn't happening." Clara looked down. Ethan said nothing. I felt the air shift. The kind of silence that isn't empty, but heavy, thick with all the lies we told ourselves to feel safe. "How long?" I asked. Ethan stepped forward. "It wasn't supposed to happen. I didn't plan it. I swear to you," I held up a hand, shaking. "You brought her into my life. Into our marriage." Clara finally spoke, her voice barely above a whisper. "It wasn't just him, Mia. I fell for you, too. That's why this hurts so much." And just like that, the truth twisted everything I thought I knew. The silence between us felt eternal. Clara's confession hung in the air like smoke, impossible to ignore, choking us all with its weight. "I loved you, Mia," she whispered again, her eyes now locked with mine, not Ethan's. "Even when I shouldn't have." I staggered back, breathless. My heart pounded, confused and overwhelmed, caught between betrayal and something else, something deeper, older, like a truth I had buried long ago. Ethan ran a hand through his hair, exasperated. This wasn't how any of this was supposed to happen. "No," I said slowly, eyes still on Clara. "It wasn't." And then, memories came flooding back. The nights Clara stayed over when Ethan was away. Her hands brushing mine too often. The way she looked at me when she thought I wasn't watching. The comfort I found in her, the warmth, the safety, the closeness I never fully understood until now. It hadn't just been about him. I looked at Ethan, the man I married, the man who loved me but lost himself somewhere along the way. And then I looked at Clara, the friend who stepped in during my loneliest moments, only to blur every line between devotion and desire. I don't know what hurts more, I said, voice raw. That you, Ethan, betrayed me, or that I betrayed myself by pretending I didn't feel something for her, too. Clara's eyes filled with tears. I never wanted to come between you. I just couldn't pretend anymore. A long pause stretched between us, charged and thick. Then Ethan stepped forward, his voice low and shaken. I think we all forgot how to be honest. With each other. With ourselves. I nodded slowly. Maybe it's time we stop pretending. And then, in a move no one saw coming, I leaned in and kissed Clara. Not out of revenge. Not out of confusion. But out of truth. When I pulled away, the tears in her eyes mirrored mine. Ethan looked away, not angry, not broken, just, finally understanding. Love doesn't always end in one direction. Sometimes, it fractures into pieces we never expected to fit together. 3 months later, the house was quieter, not because it was emptier, but because it had changed. And so had we. Ethan moved out 2 weeks after that night. There were no slammed doors, no dramatic final words. Just 2 people standing in the middle of their shared life, quietly packing up the pieces. We didn't hate each other. That was the hardest part. Sometimes, love doesn't end with anger, it ends with understanding. A painful, reluctant kind of grace. Clara didn't stay either. She gave me space. Respectfully, gently. She didn't chase or disappear. Instead, she wrote long, heartfelt letters she never pressured me to answer. Each one more honest than the last. And in those pages, I found something I hadn't felt in years, the freedom to be fully seen. Not as a wife. Not as someone's second choice. But as me. And I finally responded. It started with coffee in a quiet corner of the city. No labels, no promises. Just 2 people trying to heal from the fallout of love. There were still wounds. There always are. But there was also something else, possibility. Ethan and I still talk sometimes. He's calmer now, rebuilding his life with clarity. We don't pretend anymore. We don't rewrite the past. He apologized, sincerely, and I forgave him, not because he deserved it, but because I needed to let go. For both of us. Love is complicated. It doesn't always look like the fairy tales we grow up believing in. Sometimes, it comes in twisted forms, in betrayal, in longing, in the quiet ache of knowing someone too well to keep loving them the same way. But love is also growth. Honesty. Choice. I don't know where Clara and I are headed. Maybe we're just 2 souls who pass through each other's storms. Or maybe, we're the beginning of something truer. Something softer. And that's the message I want to leave you with. Love isn't always what you expect. Sometimes it breaks you. But sometimes, if you're brave enough to face the truth, it sets you free.